California Governor Gavin Newsom is facing a growing recall effort amid sharp criticism over his handling of the devastating Los Angeles wildfires. Opponents are branding his leadership a series of catastrophic failures, as fires scorch over 40,000 acres, destroy 12,000 structures, and claim at least 24 lives. Randy Economy, a recall organizer, blasted Newsom's woefully unprepared response, citing years of poor policies that have fueled crises like homelessness, high cost of living, and inadequate wildfire preparedness.
Listen, look on the bright side of it.
Economy vowed to file formal papers in 2 weeks to kickstart the recall process, which requires 1.3 million signatures within 5 months. Dr. Human David Hamadi, another organizer, accused Newsom of failing to address California's wildfire issues despite over a decade in top leadership roles. Newsom, who survived a recall in 2021, dismissed the latest effort as politically motivated. His spokesperson called it a ploy by far-right Trump acolytes and said the governor remains 100% focused on wildfire rescue and recovery.
You bet your gosh darn rear end we are.
Meanwhile, Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass also faces backlash, with an online petition calling for her recall nearing 130,000 signatures after she was in Ghana when the fires broke out.
I need a vacation from my vacation.
The political fallout intensifies as Californians demand accountability amidst unprecedented destruction.
I demand justice!
California's on fire. We were thinking about not even doing it, but it's too big. It's too big. And oh my gosh, Terry, California, one of the most beautiful places in the world. I love visiting. I wouldn't want to live there, but my goodness, what is going on and why all the mistakes? Talk to me, Terry. California's on fire.
Well, it's certainly not Newsom's fault. Just because he's the governor and has been in Sacramento for the last 14 years. Before that, he was the mayor of San Francisco. It's certainly not his fault that everything's fallen apart. It's climate change, isn't it? Isn't it climate change the reason that you don't have water in the reservoirs, even though the last 2 years were record rainfall? You know, it's interesting. He calls it politicizing. It's a political ploy to want to recall him. No, I call it an intellectual ploy. People have finally woken up to who this person really is, and they're not going to have it anymore. And I pray that for the sake of the citizens of California, that they get rid of this guy.
Most of the time on the channel, we talk about homelessness. We talk about overregulation, overtaxation. We talk about the cost of living. But now we're talking about strictly incompetence. And you know, we used to talk and kind of joke a little bit that we could fix homelessness. We could fix some of those other things that were major. But I don't think you can fix incompetence, Terry. Can you?
Well, you can by removing it and putting someone who knows what they're doing in power. And let's not forget, they've spent $24 billion on homeless in the last several years. $24 billion. That's probably 100,000 per homeless person, I'm guessing, at least in California. And the LA Fire Department has said that half of all fires started in LA are from homeless people. Again, I'm sad that this had to happen for people to finally wake up. But I'm telling you, I saw this 20 years ago. And I'm sorry, but this is why I left the state. This is why I don't see California getting saved anytime soon.
What happens if the California FAIR plan, that's kind of the last option plan, goes under in the wake of the devastation in Los Angeles?
How could this happen?
So specifically here, what impact might it have on every policyholder in the state, including us in Northern California? And 7 on your side, Stephanie Sierra is here with more on that. This is a complicated situation.
Very complicated, but both those questions are key in this. As we know, Wells Fargo and Goldman Sachs estimate the insured losses from Los Angeles are now around $30 billion.
There's a lot more to it than that, Britta.
So we wanted to know just that. If the California Fair Plan goes bankrupt, what does that mean for the average California consumer, and how likely is that to happen?
You are screwed. You can bet that if the Fair Plan goes bankrupt, and it's a good bet it will, the insurance companies are going to come after us to pay the debts that they owe.
The California Fair Plan, the state's insurer of last resort, said this week it has payment mechanisms in place to make sure all covered claims are paid. Yet over the last 48 hours, new questions are being raised about its financial stability.
But they only have about $300 million in the bank and $2.5 billion in reinsurance. So you do the math. If Pacific Palisades was totally blown away and they're exposed for $6 billion there, they probably have full exposure.
I don't like the sound of that.
Jamie Court, the president of Consumer Watchdog, says since 1968, when the Fair Plan was created, the legislative assumption was that insurance companies are on the hook for the full cost of damages. But he says that changed this past June.
The commissioner issued a bulletin in the end of July that says after companies pay another $1 billion out to refill the Fair Plan if it goes insolvent, then policyholders are on the hook for everything after that, which is just crazy.
So what does that mean for every policyholder across California?
Oh, Jed, that costs a lot of money.
And that is a big bill. Let's say there's $10 billion that the Fair Plan needs to have repaid. $10 billion divided by 10 million policyholders, about probably how many homeowner policies there are, comes out to $1,000. So are we all going to be paying $1,000? It would be outrageous.
Alice, you ain't seen nothing yet.
They don't have enough money. They're already talking about they don't have enough money, and we haven't even started yet. And is this a recurring theme, Terry, that California is running out of money for something or someone? Talk to me, Terry. What's going on? My goodness.
The state that had a $60 billion surplus who wasn't paying all their bills, and now they've had deficits, and now they're saying they're out of money on something that they created. I'm shocked. I'm shocked. But let me tell you something, David. Do insurance companies ultimately pay when homes burn? Do utilities ultimately pay when their power lines create fires? No. The consumer, the citizens of California.
Isn't the politicians and the elected officials the ones that are supposed to protect and help the people?
It's about power and money. I mean, I've said that for years. It's about power and money.
I on a side note, Terry, I think we talked about this before, but I saw a video yesterday. I think there's a couple firemen that are making like $750,000 a year.
Oh, I think it's closer to $1 million a year, but the average firefighter in Los Angeles makes over $250,000 a year. Hey, let me also bring up one more thing, David.
Okay.
Do you think this is going to be a $50 billion event? I have a prediction. This is going to be well over $100 billion. It's not just about the cost of rebuilding. What are they going to have to do? They're going to have to build way more reservoirs to hold a lot more water for the next time this happens, so that they can put this thing out. In addition, are you going to let on your code? Are you going to let people build houses that are susceptible to fire? No, they're going to want you to fireproof your house so it's not going to burn. The cost of rebuilding is going to be extraordinary. They're going to put it on every insured homeowner in California, I predict. Now, when I left California a few years ago, my home insurance for my 2,500 square foot home was about $2,200 a year. I predict in the next year or two, per homeowner, it's going to be a minimum of $10,000 per home for home insurance, and that's after tax money. So you got to make about another 25 grand just to pay your homeowner's insurance, and I can assure you there's a lot of people who aren't going to be able to pay that.
I can't imagine what California, they're trying to say, yeah, we're not going to overregulate, but I mean, it's going to be much, much more serious than what Florida did for sure. And every house is going to have to, they're going to come, I don't even want to go down there. But
Well,
Terry,
let me just say this, David. Florida runs major surpluses on their state government, so major surpluses. So they've got some wiggle room to help out and things like that. California runs billions of dollars of deficits every year, and will for the foreseeable future. And by the way, as I saw the other day, the homeless crisis is only going to get worse because people are out of their homes now.
But Terry Gilliam, the founder of Leaving California and Life After California, made a prediction in early 2025 that it's going to be over $100 billion, and it's going to be $10,000 minimum for your premiums on insurance. We hope that doesn't happen, but we really ask you nicely, please like. I know you guys are following it. We see the views. You guys are watching us, and we appreciate that. Make sure you share it and subscribe to our channel. And we hope you're doing well. And if you are part of the fire, if you are part of the fire situation, our hearts and prayers truly do go out to you. And we wish you the best. And we're here to support anybody any way we can. Thanks for tuning in. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.